Hospital and health services, we offer fast treatment to help you breathe easier and feel better fast. Quality care right here, right now. Click on our icon on DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Insects have reigned since the dawn of time, adapted to their surroundings, experienced the harshest climates and toughest challenges until now. With 2 modes of action, Ridgeback insecticide delivers one devastating outcome for soybean aphids: extinction from your fields. They may have lived through it all, but they won't survive this. End soybean aphids reign at ridgeback.corteva.us.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Tony Harris, City Administrator for the City of Clinton, as we follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. Tony, good to see you, sir. How are you?
Good, Seth. How are you doing this morning?
I'm sure it's nice to get out of meetings now, and the sun is still out. It's still daylight outside.
It is. It's very nice. Very nice.
We're upon that season, and eventually the sun is going to be kind of glaring into the council chambers. That's always fun.
And you know what? I think we're all ready for that.
Yeah, for sure.
We're ready for some nice, decent, warm weather, and the sun lasting a little longer through the evening. We're ready for it.
For sure. So folks can get out to local parks and do things. And speaking of little parks and doing things, Tony, there's going to be kind of a recreation of a space in Clinton. What's going on here?
Yeah, the toddler park. That's something that Steve Lobb worked with the council to put that in his budget to develop that toddler park. And that's going to be at the old Roquet Club on the corner of Main, Walnut, and Illini, right there at that corner. So that's very exciting. That was approved in the budget and talked about, put on the agenda last night and talked about a little bit. And that's going to be a nice park. And we worked very hard, Steve and the commissioners. I wasn't directly involved in that park, but as you know, last year I was really involved in the Kiwanis Park project there. Mm-hmm. But we're proud that we're doing some work with the parks and spreading the park funds out and creating new parks. So I think that's going to be a good thing, and that's going to be starting here before long.
Yeah, to go back 10, 12 years or so, that was what, the class of, is it 73, something like that?
One of those classes.
Yeah. And so what happened there, I guess?
Well, they put some money in it, and I'm not sure if they funded that pavilion that's there, if the city did, but I know that they maintain that park, and I believe they still maintain it somewhat now. But was Steve brought this up. He started last year. Steve Lobb, Public Works Director, started this last year with the idea of this toddler park. His idea was he wanted to separate the Kiwanis Park, separate the children a little bit, the older versus the smaller. So that the idea was put out there to create this toddler park to do that separation. And Steve and Commissioner Ballinger worked together with the rest of the council, and this is what they come up with. And I think it's a great deal.
All right. So what's the timeline here? And what has to be done for this to happen?
If I remember correctly, it was put on file, and I think it's still got to be voted on. Maybe it was voted on. I'm not real sure, but I would say here in probably another couple weeks, the equipment will start getting ordered and coming in, and then they'll start the project. So that I'm guessing probably in 3 to 4 weeks, you'll see some activity going on that.
Okay. Yeah. Will it be what kind of equipment do we have, or do we know much about what that'll look like? Anything of that nature?
Yeah, Steve presented a phototype of the equipment. It's going to be, it's all pretty much all plastic equipment, safe equipment for the toddlers. He worked with this company to make sure that it's safe. The Commissioner Ballinger brought up last night some security measures with a fence around it. There's a fence around it right now, but he brought up a different idea that it's going to be totally fenced in with like a secure gate to keep the toddlers in. He did talk about that a little bit. Again, this was a project that was worked on by Mr. Lobb and Mr. Ballinger, and they've been working through this, and they, I was on it in the loop a little bit, but not as much as those two. So maybe at some point we can get one of them in to talk about the park.
That sounds good.
But,
yeah, sure. So when it comes to that space itself, like, is there going to be what's the cost? Is there going to be a lot of equipment or not equipment, but like playground space? Like, what is kind of the plan for, what's the plan for that, I guess?
Well, it's a smaller area.
It is,
but that's why they chose that area, is because for toddlers they don't need a whole lot of ground, and it's going to
speak for yourself.
Correct. Yes, right.
Some of these toddlers do anymore.
That is true. The way they run, yeah. But the thought was it's a small enough controlled area. And there's the photo that I saw. There's the playground equipment's going to be like right in the center of it, with or they can run around the exterior of it. But again, with the
I guess my question is, it's going to be like wood chips or those rubber chips, or is it there even going to be those little chip things?
There is some kind of the ground. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same poured in place that we have at the other park. That was sort of a challenge, and that was very expensive. But to be honest with you, I know there was some discussion on the floor of it, but I'm not sure if I don't think it's going to be wood chips. Okay. That's kind of a mess sometimes, which we're seeing at Kiwanis Park, because part of that's the really fiber chips, and the other parts that poured in place, and it's kind of a mess. It gets on the chips get on the poured in place, and it's kind of messy. But I know there was some discussion on that, and it's going to be safe. The floor is going to be safe.
Is this going to be something we can start to see people at this summer?
I believe so. The plan is to get it done fairly quick, so it can be used this summer. And
being a toddler park, there's probably not a whole lot to do.
Right. And it's not so in depth and detailed like the Kiwanis Park. That project was more in depth, and
a lot of pieces.
And this one's not so much. We had some a few issues at the last hour of that park, which delayed things, and we had hoped to get that open last summer. It didn't happen, but I think this year with this project, it is going to be open by summer. I believe.
All right, very good. So toddler park coming to Clinton. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Unique idea. Very good. So look forward to that space kind of getting rejuvenated a little bit.
And talking about the parks, like I said, Commissioner Ballinger brought it up last night that we're working very hard to get play areas, park areas, sporadic out through the town. We got the Kiwanis Park, this park we're talking about now, and then there was a gentleman there that spoke to council last night, Mr. Dan Norton. He spoke on the disc golf park, which council is floating that idea, and that would be at the Moore Park. And there was some concerns about that. That would be at Moore Park, which is in a floodplain, but it doesn't flood very often. It's mainly the 100-year flood. But there was some discussion on that, and he gave a presentation how disc golf parks are built sometimes in floodplains, but it's a good place for those. So he presented that to the council, and Ballinger brought that up. That's our goal, is to sporadically spread the play areas, the park areas throughout the city. So there's no definite answer on that yet, but the idea is being floated. Mr. Norton brought that up, and with his idea and a plan forward, and it's inexpensive, and I think we've got some partners to help fund that, but we're looking forward to doing something with that as well.
So disc golf coming to Clinton, huh?
Yeah. And talking about that, I didn't know that until Mr. Norton brought it up, and he and I and the mayor had a previous conversation on that before he even presented that idea to the council. That's kind of a big thing, and I wasn't aware of that. It's right along there with pickleball, which I've never played pickleball or this disc golf. I probably should.
I find it hard to believe you're not a pickleball guy. That seems right up your alley. It really does.
I keep telling my wife that I should probably find a hobby like that to do, and it just never seems to happen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
what do you have going on, Tony? I mean,
right,
seriously,
like there's nothing going on, right?
Yeah. You're not busy or anything,
right? But the disc golf, it's kind of a big thing. So that's kind of exciting that again, we're in the very early stages of that, but that's pretty exciting that's being discussed. And, that's what we want to see. We want to, in Clinton, we want to have a good mix of parks, recreation, businesses. And that's part of part of the goal too.
Sure, very
So
good.
We're excited about that.
So is that going to be something we can take advantage of this summer, or is that going to be maybe a next year thing?
We right now we do not have a timeline. I think since speaking to some of the commissioners last night after the meeting, I think that they're in support of that. So I don't think it's going to be an issue where we've got to gain support. I think that's going to work out. So again, it's in the very early stages. I'm not sure if it will be this year or not. However, talking to Mr. Norton last night, he indicated this is a fairly simple, it's an actual course. I'm not quite sure how all that works, but
it's not hard. It's just those little like basket things.
Yeah.
And
And
he,
he brought one of those in and showed council exactly what it is.
Yep.
And so it's not like it's a huge task. I think it can be done relatively quick as long as council agrees with it.
All right, very good. Well, maybe that's something we see this summer. Now, would that be spread out throughout the community, or is there? You mentioned like a floodplain location.
Yeah,
for
it's
that?
at the Moore Park, which is basically at the intersection of Walnut and Webster Street. And that is in a floodplain, and again, it doesn't flood that often, but the water does get out of the banks there of that creek there. So that's why it was brought up that that'd be a good place for it, because it's as he mentioned, it's totally fine for that to be in a floodplain.
Sure. Where did you say this was?
Moore Park. It's
Yeah.
at the intersection of Webster and Walnut.
Where is Webster and Walnuts?
Webster runs east and west, and it's at
I see.
the west
Webster and which one?
Walnut.
Walnuts. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Just south of the cemetery there.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right there at the creek.
Yeah.
So
Okay, now I know.
that's one area. Again, early stages of this. It was brought up last night at council.
Cool.
There's no definite plans as of yet, but talking to the commissioners, I think that they're in full support of it.
Sure, that would be a good spot for it. I feel like.
Yeah, I think so too.
Cool.
There's a ball diamond there. That ball diamond's not been used in many years, so
there's always standing water there, I feel like. So
yeah, so that's one thing that's going to have to be looked at, is just to make sure that is an ideal place. That's the only area that was brought up to for a possible location. So we'll be looking into it.
All right, Tony Harris, City Administrator for the City of Clinton, our guest in studio today as we follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. Tony, let's talk about annexation of land to the City of Clinton. What's going on here?
Okay, I think I mentioned that maybe at the last time I was in, but again, this is all part of the overall comprehensive plan that was developed several years ago. The goal was to annex land and see the city boundary grow mainly on that west end on Kleeman Drive, goes across State Highway 51 and turns into Kleeman Road. The goal is to grow that area out there for residential and commercial growth. That's the plan. So, the first step to that is to annex land into the city there, so we have better control over it. The idea is to move the TIF fund out there, and we can't the TIF fund, excuse me, the TIF area, the TIF boundary. The TIF boundary can only be in the city's jurisdiction. So, some of that land out there that is still unincorporated in the county area, it's got to be annexed in. So we're working very hard to get some of those farm grounds into the city, just so we can see growth in the future.
Now, how far out is the city boundary currently?
Right now, it just goes directly across the highway, State Highway 51. I think there's one parcel there, and then the next parcel, that's the land that we're going to annex. That was in the county. On the north side of Kleeman Road. On the south side, we have three parcels that goes out quite a ways. But again, the goal is to get a good portion of that into the city, so we can work on development out that way. And if you remember, the city got a grant to run sewer and water out that area. So sewer and water is already stubbed across State Highway 51. Tim Followell, previous city administrator in the council at that time, worked hard to get a grant to make that work and get water and sewer out that way. So
sure.
So basically what we're doing now is just capitalizing on that work that's already been done. That's with the sewer and water being stubbed across the highway to promote the growth over there. So that's basically what we're working on. No definite plans right now. The council's got some ideas on what they want to see out that way, and we're working a few leads, but nothing's definite right now. But
got it. What do you hope to see out there in terms of development? Like what kind of development?
Well, we basically want to see a good mix of retail businesses and residential homes. So what's that going to look like? We're not sure, but we'd like to see some retail businesses and some homes around those retail businesses. That's the goal of the city. Is that really going to happen? We hope so, but we're talking years out. The first steps. The first step was to get water and sewer out that way, which we did. The next step is just to annex the land, which is currently what we're working on, and then get a TIF district out that way to help with the growth, and then to promote some growth out that way.
Does the city need growth out that way? That's going to be the chatter on social media. We don't need growth out there, Tony.
Well, you know what? The city needs growth. Period. I do believe. If we don't promote economic growth, we're never going to expand. And and that's been brought up too. We're fine where we're at. Well, I think we're fine. Yes, but we have to grow our boundaries, and we have to grow economic development just to keep where we're at. And we talked about the parks and things like that. If we don't see economic growth, some of these things that we're talking about, it just doesn't happen. So
sure.
So that's the whole goal.
Invest in the city.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. And that's a perfect place to grow. The city's got some land out that way too. That we've had we had a conversation with a developer in the very early stages of this as well, with some interest from them that this city property that we own, they might be interested in developing that. Now, this is a developer that would have contact with other developers and retail businesses to kind of promote that with the city to see that growth happen.
All right, very good. Anything else on that, Tony?
I think that's it on the annexation.
All right, let's take a break. Come back with some more. Tony Harris, Clinton City Administrator, my guest in studio today. We follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. More to come with Tony on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
It's never too early to start thinking about back-to-school preparations. Part of getting your kids ready for the new school year means making sure they're healthy. SIU Center for Family Medicine is here to help with back-to-school and sports physicals. Healthy kids learn better and play harder. Call 217-735-2317 today to schedule your appointment. That's 217-735-2317. SIU Medicine. Forward for you. SIU Center for Family Medicine is here to help with back-to-school and sports physicals. Healthy kids learn better and play harder. Call 217-735-2317 today to schedule your appointment. That's 217-735-2317. SIU Medicine. Forward for you.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest in studio today, Tony Harris, City Administrator for the City of Clinton. Tony, let's dive into Summer Concert Series. I know the American 250th has a number of acts coming for their 250th celebration. I feel like there's other concerts happening on the square throughout the summer as well, but a bigger act coming to town. What's going on?
We do. Well, let's get on the two small acts. Well, first off, America 250. That I've spoken about that the last couple of times as well. That is a good group of volunteers, and the mayor and I are very, very pleased with the work that they've been doing to bring that America 250 celebration on. And part of that is the concerts that they're bringing to the square. And this is not city funded. This is all funded by donations from individuals and businesses. And that group, they have worked very, very hard to get these events and these concerts. And yes, they've got concerts every single day of the America 250 celebration on that 4th of July weekend. Friday evening, there's a concert. Saturday evening, there's a concert with more than just one act. There's a couple, 3 acts each night. And also on Sunday, there's also one. I don't have the list in front of me on who it is, but I encourage everyone to look up the America 250 for the city of Clinton, and take a look at those concerts. But that's a good concert-filled weekend for anybody that wants to go up to the Mr. Lincoln Square and take advantage of those.
Oh
It is. They're doing a very good job, and we're very pleased with that. The other concerts, we've just scheduled. We have 2 scheduled right now. On June the 26th, we've got a Rolling Stones tribute band, and then we have another one in July. And I apologize, Seth, I don't have any of that in front of me, that date.
That's
but
okay.
we'll put that out on our Facebook site, so everybody's aware of that. But again, those are two concerts that we have scheduled. I'm currently working. It's very late, and I've been working with this company to try to get a good Nashville act, and that's kind of been the city's goal, is to have one large concert with a more well-known Nashville act. And they've done that a couple of times, and we're trying to do that this year as well. We're getting kind of late into the season, and I'm working with one. I can't give any details right now because I haven't got it totally booked yet, but there's one that I'm working on that is more of a Nashville act, and that will be in August. But I don't have a date yet, but we are working on that one. Council did give me some numbers for approval. Those type of concerts, they're not cheap. They come with the cost, but that's the entire goal. And this is, when I started early last year, that was one thing that the commissioners brought up. We want to see the square utilized, the Mr. Lincoln Square downtown. We want to see that utilized, and that's our goal, is to have concerts and other activities. But last year, being my first year, I concentrated on this year for some of them, but I wanted to start out small, with the America 250 and their concerts going on. I wanted to do like one a month past that, and that's why we came up with June, and then July, and then now one coming up in August, hopefully, if we can get that one.
But looking forward to revitalize that. I know there was 1 or 2 every summer on the square.
There was. So and then next year we might expand on that and have a couple more. But again, this is my first year doing this with concerts on the square, and it's not an easy task. It's really not trying to find a group and getting all the details worked out. But that's why I kind of wanted to ease into it this year and have 2 or 3. But then next year we might capitalize on it more. There's been some talk of maybe a couple of nights having movies up on the square, and the concerts. So we're open with different ideas too. Again, we want to see Mr. Lincoln Square utilized, and if anybody out there, any citizens of Clinton, has any ideas on any other ways to utilize the square, we're open for those suggestions.
Very good. 1 minute. What do you want to get to this morning we haven't touched on?
Let's talk about fire. We on the agenda was the the letter of understanding for the firefighters and driver engineers. We're working very hard to make sure that we have adequate coverage. Commissioner Ballinger, that's his realm, and he and I have worked along with the mayor to try to make sure that we have adequate coverage for fire response along with EMS response from the fire department. So it's kind of been a challenge during the day to get we've always got one driver engineer on duty at all times, but the volunteer staff, the paid volunteer, they're not available during the day. So we're working out a deal where we can get one on staff.
Very good. Tony Harris, City Administrator, City of Clinton, our guest. Network News comes your way now.
WHOW.